A child disappears. A cryptic note demands money for their life. Entire communities go on lockdown. The raw fear of not knowing whether a loved one will be returned safe takes over everything. For some, a ransom kidnapping is a twisted bargaining chip, a way to control families, law enforcement, and sometimes even nations. Today we're diving into the most chilling ransom kidnappings ever recorded, cases so terrifying they left scars on history. Stay until the end, because one of these cases involved a victim who survived, buried underground for days, changing how police handle hostage situations forever. If you enjoy true crime, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we uncover the darkest confessions ever captured on tape. Revelations that changed entire investigations. It was called the crime of the century. On the night of March 1st, 1932, Charles Lindbergh Jr., the 20-month-old son of aviation hero Charles Lindbergh and Anne Morrow Lindbergh, was snatched from his second-story nursery in Hopewell, New Jersey. The kidnapper left a handwritten ransom note demanding $50,000, an astronomical sum during the Great Depression. In the following weeks, more notes arrived, each with higher demands, eventually hitting $70,000. Lindbergh, desperate to save his son, paid the ransom through a mediator, but the baby never came home. On May 12th, a truck driver found the child's remains in a wooded area near the Lindbergh estate. He had been gone for months. The tragedy shocked the nation. The Lindbergh kidnapping overshadowed nearly every other news story of its time, prompting a massive manhunt that involved local police, private investigators, and eventually the FBI. 2 years later, authorities arrested Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant found with some of the ransom money hidden in his garage. Although he proclaimed his innocence, he was convicted and executed in 1936. Some still believe Hauptmann was a scapegoat. Rumors swirled that others were involved, or that the child was accidentally killed and the kidnapping staged. The case led to the Federal Kidnapping Act, giving the FBI jurisdiction over such crimes. But even with a conviction, parts of the story remain murky. Did Charles Lindbergh's notoriety make his family a prime target, or was there a deeper conspiracy? All we know is that the Lindbergh kidnapping changed how ransom kidnappings were investigated forever, reminding the country that fame and fortune offer little protection against a determined criminal. In February 2008, 9-year-old Shannon Matthews was reported missing in Dewsbury, England. The news tore at the hearts of everyone who remembered the still unsolved disappearance of Madeleine McCann less than a year prior. Shannon was last seen leaving her elementary school, but never arrived home. Local police mobilized hundreds of officers, volunteers combed the streets, and televised appeals for information flooded the airwaves. Days dragged on without a clue, then weeks. For a while, it seemed like another tragedy mirroring the McCann case. A reward of £50,000 was offered for Shannon's safe return. Her mother, Karen Matthews, appeared on television sobbing, pleading for anyone who knew anything to come forward. The public rallied behind her, dropping off donations, searching fields, and praying for a miracle. On March 14th, a miracle came. Shannon was discovered alive. But the circumstances were unsettling. She was found in the base of a bed at the home of Michael Donovan, who happened to be a relative of Karen's boyfriend. Investigators quickly uncovered a chilling plot. Karen Matthews herself had orchestrated the kidnapping, hoping to claim the reward money. Shannon had been restrained, medicated, and hidden away, while the entire country turned upside down looking for her. Karen Matthews and Michael Donovan were convicted, and Karen was dubbed Britain's most hated mother. This case revealed how far some people would go for money and attention, manipulating public sympathy and resources in the process. Though Shannon survived, the emotional toll on her and the community was immeasurable. It served as a dark reminder that not every ransom kidnapping is what it seems, and sometimes the threat comes from the very people crying out for help. In July 1973, John Paul Getty III, 16-year-old grandson of oil tycoon J. Paul Getty, was kidnapped off the streets of Rome. The abductors demanded a ransom of $17 million. At first, many suspected he staged the kidnapping himself to extort money from his notoriously frugal grandfather. The elder Getty refused to pay, believing it would encourage more threats against his family. Weeks passed, and the kidnappers grew impatient. Then, in a move that shocked the world, the abductors mailed a severed ear to a newspaper, promising to send more pieces of Getty 3 if payment wasn't made. Suddenly the story changed from a possible hoax to a horrifying reality. Under mounting pressure, J. Paul Getty finally agreed to pay part of the ransom, a negotiated amount of around $3 million, rumoured to be the maximum tax-deductible sum. Getty III was eventually released in December 1973, found traumatised and missing part of his ear. The ordeal showed that even immense wealth offers no guarantee of safety, especially when a victim's own family hesitates to pay the ransom. The aftermath was as tragic as the kidnapping itself. Getty III struggled with addiction and health issues for the rest of his life, haunted by the memory of being treated as a commodity by criminals and by his grandfather's initial refusal to save him. December 1968 should have been a joyous time for 20-year-old college student Barbara Mackle. Instead, it turned into a harrowing test of endurance. She was abducted from her motel room in Georgia by Gary Stephen Christ and his accomplice, Ruth Eisman Shear. Their plan was as horrific as it was cunning. They forced Barbara into a wooden box, complete with a small ventilation tube, then buried her alive in a remote location. They demanded $500,000 in ransom, a huge amount for the era. Barbara spent 3 days underground, unable to move in total darkness. The kidnappers provided minimal air and water through tubes, but she had no guarantee they would keep her alive once the ransom was paid. FBI agents, local police and Barbara's father worked frantically to gather the money and secure her release. Christ eventually gave the location after receiving the ransom, and authorities dug her out, finding her alive but traumatized. Christ was apprehended soon after, claiming he'd planned to let her go, though no one truly believed him. Barbara survived, but the psychological impact was profound. The Mackle kidnapping stands out because of the sheer terror involved in being buried alive. It also highlighted the complexities of ransom negotiations, as police had to balance speed against ensuring Chris didn't vanish with both money and victim. Barbara's survival became a symbol of hope, but her ordeal remains one of the most chilling ransom kidnappings on record. Each of these kidnappings started with a demand for money. Some ended in tragedy, others in miraculous rescue, and a few changed the legal and moral landscape forever. Whether it's the Lindbergh baby case that shook an entire nation, a staged abduction orchestrated by a parent, or a wealthy heir's ear sent through the mail, the horror of a ransom kidnapping is universal. It rips apart families, mobilizes law enforcement, and leaves communities wondering if anyone is truly safe. Which case left you most unsettled? Do you think the Lindbergh kidnapper acted alone, or was there a deeper conspiracy? Could John Paul Getty III's life have been different if his grandfather had paid immediately? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we uncover the darkest confessions ever caught on tape, shocking admissions that flipped entire investigations on their heads. And always remember, a ransom isn't just about money. It's about control, fear, and a fight against time that can tear families apart. Thank you for watching. See you in the next investigation.